Hey folks, in this modern world, more and more people are starting to switch from coolers, that ancient thing that we've been using most of my life, to actually refrigerators, like this one right here that I'm going to show you. And I'll be honest with you, I've already got a portable refrigerator, a 75-liter one that I bought. Although, in truth, I bought a 52 quart because I thought the 52 quart refrigerator would be about the right size for my Jeep, and they sent me the 75. Now, that was an accident, I'm sure, but I couldn't get him to take it back. In fact, I couldn't get him to answer emails. And I was kind of perturbed by that because the 75-liter portable refrigerator fills up half of the back of my Jeep. It makes it kind of hard to pack some camping gear in there when half of the back of the Jeep's filled up with a refrigerator. I wanted something a little bit smaller, in the 50 quart range. Now at the time, I paid, well, I think a 52 quart was $900, and the 75 liter was around $200 or $300 difference between the two. But still, you're talking a lot of money. And since they wouldn't respond to me, I was more than happy to keep that 75-liter refrigerator. And it has an onboard battery that keeps me going for 6 hours. But what does that have to do with today's video, which is not about that fridge, but is about this one? Don't worry, I'm going to get to the point. Today's video is about the BougeRV CR Pro with VIP tech. It's a 30-quart refrigerator, and it can either be a refrigerator or it can be a freezer. And if it's a freezer, the insulation in this, which is what the VIP tech is all about, VIP stands for Vacuum Insulated Panel. And apparently it's next best thing to sliced bread when it comes to insulating refrigerators, I guess. But here's the thing, what they say is that if you've got a bunch of steaks in this thing and it's -4 degrees and the power goes out, the battery's dead, whatever, those steaks will still be fresh for 37 hours. Now you read that and you think, whatever. You hear that and you think that too, right? Like, oh sure. Well, I'm here to tell you that at least I can confirm that this is a very efficient refrigerator and it doesn't actually lose the cold. It doesn't warm up easily. Obviously, in hotter temperatures outside or in your car or whatever, it will, and so it's going to need its battery more. But my first use of this was when we went to the woods with the 4x4 club that we're in, and we had a couple plans. One was to haul out 1.5 gallons of chili that we would put in 2 crock pots and let them run all day on my power station with a battery backup. Because hey, not only are we talking portable refrigerators these days, but we're also talking power supplies, right? Having a portable refrigerator is kind of like having a portable power supply. It's a good thing. In any case, the idea was bring that chili out because the jars wouldn't fit in our camper's refrigerator. And then in the morning, take the chili, put it in a crock pot, and then load the refrigerator up with sandwich fixings, drinks, that kind of stuff, condiments, whatever you needed. So that's what we did. And once I plugged in this refrigerator to its power supply, which was early on the morning on Saturday, I thought, okay, we're going to see. Does it last 6 hours like the other one I have? Or since it's 220 watt hours versus 178 and it's a little less than half the size, does it run 12 to 18 hours? Well, I'm here to tell you that it ran all day Saturday, all night Saturday night, and all day Sunday, well into Sunday evening before it was even at 72%. Now, that last 72% went very quickly over a period of 6 to 8 hours because when I got up in the morning, it was actually dead. However, this refrigerator ran approximately 40 hours on that 220 watt hour battery. That's pretty incredible, folks. I am really impressed. Now, if you were running around doing some overlanding, camping, that kind of stuff, you'd probably have this plugged into your car and you would use your car battery to help keep the power supply charged up while you're on the road or maybe even at the campsite. And you can even plug this into your car, let the car power this unit through your 12-volt cigarette lighter port or car port, they call them nowadays. I'm kind of old, so they're still cigarette lighter ports to me. But you can let your car do that, and even if you shut your car off, this has built-in protection. From the factory, it's set on what they call the high mode, which is 11.3 volts. So when the battery on your car drops to 11.3 volts, this will shut off. Of course, that's if and when, because if you're just in the store for 30 minutes or something like that, it's not going to draw probably any power, so it's not going to be an issue. But if you left it sitting plugged into your car all night long and your car's battery dropped to 11.3 volts, this would stop drawing power from your car, which would allow you to start your car. It does have 2 other settings, a medium and low, And those two settings would allow you to drop your battery all the way down to, I think it's 10.9 and 9.9, but basically that's killing your battery, and I wouldn't do that. It's fairly easy to use. You stick your power station in this compartment right here, plug it in, turn the power on, set your temperature, and walk away, folks. Can't beat that. So let's talk about this unit. It is 30 quarts. Now, I will tell you, when I first got it, I thought, 30 quarts? How am I going to put anything in that? It's going to be small, right? But then I realized there's no ice. And how many of us are tired of melting ice in coolers, getting everything wet anyway? I sure am. So that's number one. Number two, ice-based coolers, well, you got to keep replacing the ice. So if you go camping and you're going to be gone for 3 or 4 days, the ice is going to melt unless you buy those really expensive Yeti type things, right? Or whatever, there's other aftermarket ones, but they're all expensive. Now they work pretty well, but will they work for an entire week? I don't think so. This will. And to extend its life, you can plug a solar panel into the back of the power station to power it up during the day. And since this on eco mode only uses 35 watts, or max mode uses 45 watts, a 50-watt solar panel will run this and charge up that battery at the same time, because this cycles on and off. Doesn't lose its temperature very quickly. It takes a long time for it to warm up, so it can sit there idle long enough that if you had it plugged into a power station that will shut off if there's nothing using it, that power station will shut off because this isn't going to be drawing power for a while. And I've had that happen during testing. Plugged it into a different power station, one that I knew would shut down. Sure enough, after a few hours, it just shut down because this refrigerator just wasn't drawing any power. Obviously, those power stations may not be the one to run this off of. But if you pay attention, you're okay. Now, this power station, I haven't noticed it do that. It will allow itself to be completely drained. And you can charge the power station that you can get with this fridge. It is an option. You can charge that through your car, through a solar panel, through USB-C. It gives you a number of different options, and I'll show you that here shortly. Now, before I continue, I want to tell you, if you already want to get one of these BougeRV refrigerators and or power supplies, just go to the end of this video, because at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you a code that you can use to get a big discount on these right now, up to the end of the month. But if you want to see what I think of this one, stick around, I'll tell you. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There are some things that I think could be improved, but I will be fair. First of all, I think every single product manufactured today could have improvements. Plain and simple. Doesn't mean they'll do them, because from a manufacturing standpoint, maybe it doesn't make sense. But I'll give you what I think they could do to improve this refrigerator. But before I do that, let me tell you, I like this refrigerator. I love it, actually, and I'm super glad that BougeRV sent it to me to test, because guess what? It's been awesome, frankly. I took it to my cabin. I packed it up with everything I needed for a weekend at the cabin with another buddy of mine, and a second one showing up at least for one meal anyway. Packed this up with all the food that we would need, put it in my truck, turned on the power supply, finished packing the rest of the truck up, drove the 4.5+ hours to the cabin, brought this inside, set it by the fridge, and then finally got around to loading it into the refrigerator. Loaded it into the refrigerator, then took a bag of ice my buddy had in his refrigerator and stuck it in this and changed the temperature to 20 degrees. Didn't plug it into anything, didn't have any auxiliary power, and it continued to run all night long, with us grabbing some ice out of it while we're at it, until the morning. And late the next morning, it was at 15% on the battery, so I needed to charge it up. It was 26 hours from the time I'd plugged it in and had it full of refrigerated goods, drove up to the cabin, unloaded it, turned it into a freezer at 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and stuck ice in it, and then used that 26 total hours. Used 85%. Not bad, especially because it takes more power to cool it down from 38 degrees that it had it set at to 20 degrees. Had I just left it at 38, I would have got a lot more out of it. And that's an important distinction. So, number one, 30 quarts, I thought it would be too small, but I was able to load it up with everything. And I mean, I had creamer in there for coffee, eggs, couple steaks, a big thing of hot dogs, a half gallon of chili, a half gallon of sausage gravy, cheese, ham slices, mayo, ketchup, couple beers, I'm probably forgetting something else. Butter, I know there was butter in there. Oh, I think I had some wraps in there. I mean, it just had a bunch of stuff in it. It was surprising how well it stored stuff. It packed easily. Overall, awesome unit. I will tell you that compared to the big fridge I've got, that one you can have dual zones, so a freezer and a refrigerator. This one you cannot. This one is almost a third of the price if you use my discount code right now this month. So a little bit less than half the size, closer to a third of the price. You're talking a pretty good deal here. And it can be a freezer or it could be a refrigerator, but it can't be both. That is the only thing. Now, there's a couple things I'd like to mention that I think could be improved. These are very, very minor things. All right, the first thing is that these handle grips right here, they're too shallow. My wife can't use them very well at all because she has long nails, and my big hands barely fit inside this here. Made for small people's hands maybe. So it doesn't give you a good solid grip when it's full and heavy. I don't like that. I would prefer the swing up and down types. I think that these tie downs right here, I think these are very good. They're designed for you to tie down to, in the back of your Jeep or your truck or whatever. It does say handheld prohibited right here. So apparently you're not supposed to pick this up by this piece. You're supposed to use this. I've done that many times. They seem to hold up, but they do tell you don't do that. But this is so that you can strap this down so it doesn't bounce around. And by the way, for the four-wheelers out there that want to go four-wheeling, this can take a 30-degree angle before it shuts down. So something to pay attention to. It's protected from vibrations, movement, all that kind of stuff, up to 30 degrees. It even has a bottle opener right here. But anyway, these are too small. That's something that I wanted to point out. Now, on this side, you've got your power supply compartment or storage compartment. And there's a couple things about this that, well, I don't know if they can improve them, but as a guy with big hands, this is a bit cramped for me. So to get the power cord plugged into the back of this unit, you kind of have to push this power supply forward, stick this through here, and then just kind of use your fingers to make sure it's tight. And of course, plug it in down below. If you want to plug in a power source right down here, you've got to try to stick it through this hole and try to get it in here. That's difficult to do. The next thing is when you go to close this, it doesn't close. It will, but you have to push this supply back and it closes just fine. So that's kind of a little bit of a note. Now opening this back up again, I can't turn it on without moving it forward now, okay? Because the button is right here. So if I push that button, there we go, it's turned on. Now I would have to push this back out of the way. And you can see now, I don't know if you can read that, but it says 67% 0 and 0. Close that, we turn that on, and this tells us that we are at 60 volts. It's on the high setting for battery shutoff. Maximum output, you've got the compressors on, the battery's full. That's what all that means. Plus minus to change your settings on your what temperature you want it, and then of course you can use your settings button to go in here. Set that to eco mode if you want, then it would only use 35 watts. You can then change this setting over here if you can get to it. You hold this button down, then you can change that to medium, low, or high. So that's it. We've changed it to eco. Compressor's running now to shut it off. You got to hold this. There you go. Shut off. And again, you got to move this back out of the way in order to plug anything in or turn this off. Now if I disconnect it, I can pick this up and show this to you. So on the back here, you've got a light, USB-A out. That's the button for the light. You've got your 12-volt port here. USB-C in and out, so you can charge this up by the USB-C port, and I did use a portable solar panel with USB-C output to charge this up, and that was working pretty good. Then you've got this style. I call these DIN, and I think this is not an 8mm. It's actually the same type connection that a Jackery uses. So if you know what size that is, it's this guy right here. I can plug this one in, and then boom, look at that. So for those that don't know, If you've got one of those solar panels that have the adapters, you might need an adapter if you don't have this type of connector. Like if you've got MC4 connectors, you just need the adapters so that you can plug in right here. And then that will take 11 volts to 32 volts at 6 amps. So if you've got a 100-watt solar panel, which would be way more than enough, that would give you 5 amps at 20 volts. It'd be perfect for this guy right here. So it's a good little unit. This works good. It's the one thing is when you put this in here, it's going to be hard to reach these guys. So it's not really designed for that. But I have been able to run both this cable and a charging cable through this guy here. So you can do that. But again, we just kind of have to stick this through here, plug that in, and just kind of take our fingers and squish it in all the way, and then you're good to go. Done. On the inside, you've got an LED light that will come on as long as the power's on. That will come on as soon as the door opens. You've got a detachable divider here, which we actually took out when we put the ice in because it took up more room than just one side or the other. So we just pulled that out, put the ice in. But when we packed it up to go to the field, I had this in so that I could kind of divide things and stack them up a little nicer. It worked great. They actually give you a little temperature gauge here to tell you cooked food should be at 39 degrees or whatever. I don't really need that, but hey, it's kind of cool. It also gives you some specs. It's the CR Pro 30, and that, of course, is the VIP tech for vacuum insulated panel made by BougeRV. It does tell you that it's a 29 liter, which apparently it's 30 quarts. It does come with an amazing, approximately 12-foot car charging port. So you could put this in any 12-volt car charging type port that uses that connector and plug it into this from 12 feet away. Comes with an AC adapter, as well as this comes with the power supply so that you can plug in the power supply to your car source, stick that back through here. The power supply can then be charged while it's running the refrigerator. Pretty nice setup. If it looks a little bit dirty, well, that's because I've been using it, folks. All in all, folks, I'll tell you, I like this unit. I think it's a great refrigerator. It actually met and exceeded all of my expectations, and I'm excited to use it again because you know what? Every cabin trip, this is the refrigerator I'm going to bring to haul up all my perishables up to the cabin. Listen, if you want to get one of these, or you just want to check them out, there's a link down below for you to check out, and the code that you want is Jarhead, Jarhead. That gives you an insane 27% off. Folks, with the power supply, this unit's $550-ish, $559 maybe. 27% off takes you down pretty close to $400 without the power supply. I'd get it with the power supply myself, but without it, they're about $350. So that's going to take you under $300. That's a heck of a deal. And these things, I'm telling you right now, got no problem saying that you could put this in your car, load it up with perishables for a long drive, and it's going to keep everything fresh for you. And you don't have to have a bunch of wet, sloppy ice getting everything wet so that when you pull it out, you ever pulled out a bag of cheese from a cooler and it's full of water? Yeah, you won't have that here. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll drop another video right here for you to check out. Y'all have a great day. The old Jarhead out.